if you want to get something done, you have to take action. You got to put, 2 feet in. You got to move forward. You got to, just throw your hat in the ring, right? Because I
Mhm.
know a lot of people that I've worked with throughout the years that wanted to get into real estate investing. You can't just dip your toe in the water. You gotta really, really get your. A lot of it's a mindset thing. You and I were talking a little bit before. Very, very important to get your mind around this. But I decided that I looked at it and I said, all right, $32,000 is a good base. So that's when I started thinking, all right, now I have to build a team. Going from sports arena, it doesn't matter if you're Wayne Gretzky, it doesn't matter if you're Connor McDavid, it doesn't matter. If you're Cole Caulfield, you're not going to win a championship by yourself. You
No.
need a team.
Mhm.
So that's when thought process coming from background of ice hockey is I need to start building a team. I need to start getting mentors, business partners, contractors, the whole 9 yards. So, and self-education. So
Yeah.
that's when I started. That's when I kind of the light bulb went on and said, all right, I need to start building this.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec. And today we're going to be interviewing Bob Lachance, who's got a very Quebec last name, but it's actually based in Connecticut. How's it going, Bob?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hi, it's a pleasure to have you. First of all, this is the first episode of 2023, so to all our listeners, I want to wish you health, success in every time and anything that you try to undertake. So thank you for listening in. Your support has been really valued over the last 2 years for the podcast, and thank you for sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation. Like it, subscribe. It's always very, very appreciated. So, Bob. You've got a very Quebec last name, but yet you are based in Connecticut and you're the founder of REVA Global, which is an outsourcing company. You have some virtual
Mhm.
assistant and you have a rather prolific real estate investment company. So, Bob, first of all, like how in the world did you get started with real estate investing?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I played professional hockey for 8 years prior to jumping into real estate, so I get that question a lot. And I did a lot of research on different industries. When you jump from one industry to the next, you're always wondering, all right, what is something that would be exciting? And you see all these individuals, in Canada, United States, all over the world. A lot of individuals got their wealth from real estate.
Yeah.
So for me, it was very easy to. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it was, looking at other industries besides sports. I think what's a lot of hockey players either jump into coaching or scouting.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the money involved in that. And you have to put a lot of time into coaching to get to, the NHL status, et cetera, where you make really big money. And real estate always appealed to me because I didn't want to be a scout. Coaching is really fun, but if you're going to look at the potential, it always pointed to real estate investing. So that's how I kind of got involved. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, just like a lot of your listeners,
Yeah.
got into real estate. And so I decided, hey, my last year of professional hockey, I decided that in theory, I was going to be a real estate investor.
All right. And then so what? Like, did you start to look in your home market? Did you educate yourself? Like, how did it go? Can you kind of walk through the
Yep.
process and let's go over your first transaction?
Yeah, great point. And this is back in 2004, right?
Okay.
So it's right now, it's a lot different. There's so much real estate education online. You can go to YouTube. A lot of individuals have fantastic coaching programs, which I do recommend getting mentors and coaches 100%. But back in 2004, I joined what was called like a local meetup group. It was a real estate education or real estate investment association that I joined. And I also bought a course. I self-educated myself. And what that course taught me was to farm areas, get in your car and drive around areas and see if there's high grass, properties vacant, etc. So ended up seeing a couple of those, knocked on the door. It was vacant. All of a sudden, there's a sign put out, which is listed by a real estate agent. So I called the agent, and the property was listed for 200, I believe, $185,000, and I put an offer in for 135. Again, this is 2004. They accepted the offer, and right away I was like, "Uh oh." because I didn't know you got to realize I didn't know anything about real estate at all, but I decided to, go forward with it. Closed on the property, got some contractors, rehabbed it, and made 32 grand, $32,000 in a 2-month process, which was obviously very cool. But I also learned that I had zero systems. I didn't know how I was going to get my next property. I knew nothing. So I had to keep educating myself. I had to keep networking, meeting individuals in my local market. And that's kind of how I got the ball rolling.
It's funny how, and I can imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like your first deal, like it just kind of, it doesn't make you rich, it doesn't make you poor, it just kind of gets you addicted. And you realize all the things that you did, some of the things that you did right, and a lot of things that you did wrong. And so then from there on, what I hear is that you realize you had no systems for the next deals or how to operate and stuff like that. So how do you go from there? Like, what was your vision at the time? Because you made 32,000. That's great, but like, I bet your question was, how many more times can I repeat this?
Yeah, and I had no idea. I'll be honest. I mean, I got lucky. So, but the one thing that the takeaway, if I look back, is, if you want to get something done, you have to take action. You got to put, 2 feet in. You got to move forward. You got to, just throw your hat in the ring, right? Because I know a lot of people that I've worked with throughout the years that wanted to get into real estate investing. You can't just dip your toe in the water. You gotta really, really get a lot of it's a mindset thing. You and I were talking a little bit before. It's very, very important to get your mind around this. But I decided that, I looked at it and I said, all right, $32,000 is a good base. So that's when I started thinking, all right, now I have to build a team. Going from, sports arena. It doesn't matter if you're Wayne Gretzky. It doesn't matter if you're Connor McDavid. It doesn't matter, if you're Cole Caulfield. You're not going to win a championship by yourself. You need a team. So that's when, the thought process coming from, background of ice hockey is, I need to start building a team. I need to start getting mentors, business partners, contractors, the whole 9 yards. So, and self-education. So that's when I started. That's when I the light bulb went on and said, all right, I need to start building this.
Okay. So by that point, like, you've done your first deal and you realize you need to build a team and build processes. So can you kind of walk us through the process of maybe your next couple of deals, and then we'll kind of fast forward to where you're at now, and then we'll try to unpack everything in between that's happened over the last 16 or 18 years.
Absolutely. The first thing I did was network. So I went to, it was called the Connecticut Real Estate Association, and I asked everybody in that area after I saw another speaker. You got to realize I was going to buy everything. Meaning any type of education, any speaker that was going to come on stage, I was probably going to buy it. So one speaker spoke, and it was just on a niche of short sale investing, which is when properties are overdebted, you go to banks and negotiate them down. That was big back in the day here in the United States before the before the world kind of took a little shakeup. A little shakeup. So, the top investor in the area was a gentleman by the name of Patrick Precourt. And I went up to him. I said, Pat, you have no idea who I am. I'm not looking for a job, but I'm looking to, add team members. And, first thing he said, listen, I'm looking for an acquisition person. And I'm like, I had no idea what that meant. I said, all right, I'm in. So he handed me it's actually funny. He handed me a list of people that were not paying their mortgage, and I door knocked from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Monday through Friday for a year straight until, I graduated from that, and then I started negotiating banks and doing other things inside the business. So, I pretty much door knocked for a year straight.
So you went to work for him for that period as his acquisition manager. Like, how long did it take you to start to get some success door knocking?
It took me probably about a month because what I did was I door knocked, and I would have a leave behind campaign. So I'd have probably a little packet of papers I'd leave behind, and then they would oftentimes call me back, and then I would go through my, my script that Pat gave me. And then, I started getting properties under contract, but the short sale world takes a little while. It takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So I started making money after that, probably 9 months later, after I made, $32,000 in my first deal. So it wasn't an overnight thing, but my whole mindset was, if I learn the business from ground up, I could go off and do this myself. If anything else, happened between me and, this individual that I was working with, Pat. So after a year, he offered me a partnership, and then we became partners. And then from there, actually started a couple of real estate education programs. And then this is back in, let me see this. back in 2007, we started one of the largest ones here in the United States. And then that morphed into, I think we've had over 100,000+ students in the, through the program. And then COVID hit, to be honest with you, COVID hit. And then that kind of changed that business. But I got out prior because in 2013, I was looking for a solution for our students while I was invested. So I'm investing the whole time.
Yeah. And when you say you're investing with you have some financial partners and you're finding single family homes for people that aren't paying their mortgage and you're buying them at a slight discount.
Correct. And I was also doing I know you talk about this sometimes on your podcast, also wholesaling, which I was marketing, getting properties under contract and selling the rights to that contract to an end buyer. They're paying us fees. So we were doing short sales, wholesaling, some buy and holds a little bit. And then we were doing some wholetailing, which is purchasing it and relisting it in the MLS, and then short sales, of course. So we were doing a lot of different creative stuff throughout those years, and also working with coaching students. I was always thinking, and I've always been kind of an assist guy. So if many of your listeners are like hockey or like sports, I was more of, hey, I would set you up, right, so you could score a goal. And it was the same thing in business. And so anyway, when I'm coaching these students, I'm always thinking, all right, is there a product or service out there that could help you, the student, actually do the tasks? Because a lot of our students were coming from other industries wanting to jump into real estate. So 2013, a light bulb went on, and I got introduced what a virtual assistant was. And I had no idea what a VA was. Today's a lot different than it was back in 2013. It was more commonplace in the real estate agent world rather than the investor world. But a light bulb went on. I said, you know what? If I marry the two, the education company I helped start, coaching program, with virtual assistants, then it could be a service that could be, help our students make money and really, perform the tasks while they're working either part-time or full-time or part-time. So 2014, I launched my first virtual assistant company, and then it got steam, and fast forward today, we're at over 1,000 VAs.
Sure. Oh, wow. Over 1,000 VAs. I'd love to hear about that. So when that light bulb went on in your head, like, what kind of task was it that you felt like could be easily outsourced to the point where you wanted to help your student and provide them a complete solution in getting some of those tasks done by somebody else? Because in the end, it's just about like you having the time to focus on other things that have more value add. So can you kind of walk us through the process of, first of all, how did you find these people and what were the tasks that you decided to outsource to them?
The first task, actually, I started outsourcing. I tested it myself with my own business. That's why, for me, I still do real estate. I did over, I think there's 240 transactions this past year.
Wow.
But the reason why I do this as well is to have a virtual assistant company. I want to make sure that the tasks that I'm talking about on podcasts like this are actually working today. It's not something I learned back in 2004, because we're in a way different market than we were in 2004. So, but for me back in 2014 or 13 and 14, my first task was I had my virtual assistant build a buyer's list, because we were doing some wholesaling at that time. And if we didn't have buyers that were buying properties, I wouldn't be able to sell them. So we had our virtual assistants going on Google, going on LinkedIn, going on all these different sites, Craigslist at the time, Kajabi, like all these places, and actually seeing who was looking and promoting buying properties. So they would build a list every day, and then they would pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, listen, what area are you looking to buy? Do you have money, etc.? How many beds, how many baths? Are you a wholesaler? Are you a rehabber? Are you buy and hold specialist? So
defining their needs.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what we had the virtual assistants do first. And then, that was the first task, because that would fulfill the wholesaler industry.
Yeah.
And then I would also do the same thing for rehabbers. We'd build a contractor list. So they'd do the same exact thing and build contractor lists, see how busy they are, if they're looking for more work, etc. And that actually morphed into, looking at the lead generation side on the front end. But it started first with building a buyer's list and building contractor lists.
Okay. And then Okay, so how did it go? Where did you go from there? Because now to have over 1,000 VAs, like how do you structure it? Because this is an entire business of its own, which obviously is fabulous to combine with your own investing practice. So
Yep.
at what point like did the two really merge for you to be able to step out?
Yeah, so what I started first doing is I built the training platform first. So all of the training before I started getting clients and really marketing on the front end, we had test pilots, not only my own business, but we also had test clients that would come in for a lesser amount of money, just like any business that you start, right? You gotta test things and so that's what I did. I had kind of almost like a test group, if you will, but I started first with the end in mind, kind of just like I did with building a buyer's list in real estate. So I
Mhm.
built the training and then I went and got the clients and then the team that we built within it to actually fulfill all of our virtual assistants, all of our management. And that's kind of how that process went. It wasn't an overnight thing, of course.
Now, of course.
It took years to create and then fulfill.
Okay. And so now that's on the virtual assistant side. And now where are you at with your investment company? Can you kind of give us an idea of like your portfolio, the asset class you
Yep.
focus on in the area?
Absolutely. Yeah. We focus on single families. We use, and I'll just tell you a little bit how we use our virtual assistants and what our team looks like here on the ground. So we use our virtual assistants to cold call, to text message, to really build lists of motivated sellers,
Hmm.
right? And what that does, that drives in the leads for our acquisition team here. So just to give you a little outlook on what our acquisition team looks here, we have 8 individuals that are acquisition specialists. So they're on the phone that they're fulfilling and turning those leads that our virtual assistants send us into contracts. And then we have a disposition team. We got 2 disposition team members that sell all of our deals. We also have a transaction coordinator that works back and forth with agents, attorneys, lawyers, etc., title companies. We also have an office manager, and I have my business partner. We just hired on a recruiter as well.
Okay. And now
Yep.
how do you fund those deals? Because I understand some of it is wholesaled or
Mm-hmm.
so you don't actually close, but for the vast majority you do. So how do you fund them?
So we do 2 things. We're either self-funded or we have a list of private lenders.
Okay.
And I know you talk a little bit about that. We have individuals that we give different types of percentages to. So if someone comes to us and says, and we also have hard money lenders, and those, and I don't want to confuse everybody, but you have private money lenders and hard money lenders. The hard money lenders, their money costs a lot more. You're probably you're 2 to 3 percentage points per loan, plus a higher interest rate that could
Yeah.
range anywhere from 10 to 15%. Our private lenders are more relationship lenders, friends of mine, family members. They range anywhere from 8 to like 10% interest, and
Yeah.
that's it. No points, nothing. There could be a minimum of a 3-month loan, but it's a lot less expensive than the hard money lenders.
Okay. Okay. And then also fund of it, some of it yourself, because over time you've
Some
been
of
able
ourselves.
to build a decent pool of capital.
Correct.
And so you said that throughout that technique and that process that you've built, you've closed 240 transactions in 2022.
Correct.
Wow,
Correct.
that's really
Yep.
impressive.
Yeah, we have a good team that we do a lot of training. We do reinvest a lot of our profits back into the team,
Hmm.
back into training, different types of sales scripts, different types of marketing channels, etc. So I think that's really important, especially for your listeners, to know that hey, it's okay to reinvest a big chunk of that money, because in the end it's going to benefit. It's kind of like when you build your portfolio, right? Whether it's investing in an apartment complex, right? That's going to be more passive.
Yeah.
You're going to start making money over time once the debt, let's say the 4 family we're talking about you're going to be doing the new construction. I think it was 4 units. At the beginning, you're not going to make as much money, but as soon as every month goes down, you're going to pay down the debt, and you're typically over time your passive income goes up and up and up and up. So it's
Hmm.
kind of the same concept.
Okay. Okay. And now you've really just focused on the single family homes, I understand, because you've been really developed an expertise at finding motivated sellers.
Correct.
Have you also done any multifamily transactions?
Yeah, so I had a 10-unit building that I bought actually as an REO, which was a real estate owned, rehabbed it and resold it. It
Okay.
was pretty good spread there. I also have money in a couple syndications. So bigger complexes down in Texas that, I just don't touch.
Yeah.
I think it was, put a pretty good chunk of change in there. But other than that, I don't personally go after them because single family has always been the best for us in our office. And I may change in the future. I don't know. But as of today, right now, my main focus is that.
Yeah, I know, and it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like, why did you, specialize so much on that asset class? But given
Yeah.
your systems and your process for the company that you've built, it makes total sense. So, what would be like 2 or 3 pieces of advice you would give? Like, this is the start of 2023. Some
Yep.
people, a lot of people listening are trying to scale, and the ability to delegate some of those tasks is a key element in being able to focus their energy on other things that are more value add. So, what would
Yep.
be 2 or 3 pieces of advice you would give to people that are looking for a virtual assistant and that are looking to delegate?
Yep. I would first look at your team and what you have close to you. And for a lot of us small business owners, right? No matter what, because we all, you deal with a bunch of small businesses, so do I. Small business owners are on budgets. So I would look at exactly what we have as a budget. And I know for me, if I'm here in Connecticut and I'm hiring someone full time, I'm going to be spending 60, 70, $80,000 a year,
Yeah.
right, on a full time employee rather than using a virtual assistant where you could spend a quarter of that, right, to get the same task done. The thing about COVID, what happened with COVID is that now our mindset has changed a lot different. You don't need someone physically in your office. You can now work with individuals that are remote. So that kind of helped my virtual assistant company out on that aspect where individuals now are more, small businesses are now more comfortable working with remote individuals. So I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things. So first thing I would do is I'd definitely look at my team
Yeah.
and look at what I'm going to be budgeting per month, right? Because we need, the day of the solopreneur is kind of going away, right? We always have to look at, and I've been huge on this for all my life on building teams and working with individuals. I don't like working by myself. I'll be 100% honest with it. I like when there's people around. I like interacting. I like the social side of it, and it's just more fun. It's more fulfilling for me. So that's what I would look at. And then the second thing is I would definitely set goals and try to see what you want to accomplish each quarter, and you got to take the action that's needed for those goals to happen,
Yeah.
right? Because it's always forward progress. It doesn't matter if you fall down and trip. We all do, right? Everyone falls down and trips. It's you got to dust off. You got to get up and keep going. So I would say those two things first and foremost. And then I would, you got to implement. Like I said, you got to implement. So if it's hiring that one person or that one virtual assistant, you got to take that action because I could tell you through experience that has helped my business go from, zero to, a lot higher.
Yeah. Setting proper goals and reviewing them on quarterly basis and see where
Mhm.
you're at and make sure you take the proper action. And it sounds like such an obvious statement, but so many people don't do it. And it's easy at the beginning of the year to say, this is everything I'm going to do this year. And by like April, it's all gone out the window.
Right.
Mm.
Absolutely. And well, like you said, it's those goals. And that's kind of funny how, small businesses, they're like, oh, they start the year off. They say, you know what, I'm going to set goals. And then they never do. You know what I mean? And then it's like, it gets pushed off. It gets pushed off. So to your point, I would put that on the list.
Yeah.
Do that today. Do that whenever you listen to this podcast. Set those goals. Put them on your board. I got whiteboards all over my office.
Yeah.
Put them on your board so it's literally right in front of you.
That's a really good advice. Thank you for sharing it, and especially as it's the beginning
Yep.
of the year, it is time to do this for everyone who's listening. So, Bob, if people want to find out more about you, what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, just you can check me out online, which is www.revaglobal.com. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all those kind of sites. And if you want to reach me direct, it's bob@revaglobal.com. You can send me an email with any types of questions. Again, that's bob@revaglobal.com.
Super. Well, look, to anyone who's listening, feel free to reach out to Bob. Thank you very much for coming on today and sharing your experience and your success and what you've built
Thank
over
you.
the last 15 years. We will let it be inspiration to all those who are listening. So thank you very much, Bob, for your
Mhm.
participation today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
And to everyone listening, thank you again for your continued support. It's really appreciated. And again, share this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation. There's a lot of golden nuggets in here. And subscribe, like, and share. And we will continue to deliver some quality advice and content throughout the year. So thank you very much. And as usual, keep educating yourself in real estate, keep learning about the market that you've chosen, and go make some offers. As Bob said, take action. Thank you very much, and we'll talk next week. Ciao, ciao.